Hi, good morning and namaste. Here is what I'm proposing today, that in order to run a successful business, it has to be based on goodness or niceness or kindness. So let me state that again. A good business need to be based on a successful business need to be based on goodness and niceness and kindness. It does look very counterintuitive, isn't it? But allow me to explain. My name is Milind Katti. When I was young, not that I'm very old today, I was told that a businessman is somebody who's chalu, who's jugadu, right? Now, in English, a chalu can loosely translate into anywhere between being very smart to somebody who is a fraudster. But having spent 20 years in my professional life, most of it as an entrepreneur, I have come to realize that if you were to succeed in business, especially a startup, it has to be based on being good. Now, let's say that you have a great idea and you want to start a business. And now, in order for that idea to actually translate into business, require a couple of things. One of the first things is uh, it should be you should validate the idea firstly. Second thing is you should have some idea of that idea translating into a minimum viable product. You should have a business plan, at least a rough one, which is nothing but spreadsheets comprising of your costs, your risks, your revenue projections and cost expectations, timelines, and then so on. It's a basic business plan that you need to have. Sometimes you might need some money, but you always need lots of support from friends and family. Now let's imagine this, right? If I want to get these three or four things in order to validate my idea or in order to vet my business plan, I need experts. I need to go to people whose advice I need. Now, if your business is not, if you are not a good person, it's rare that you'll be able to get a sound advice from good people. It's rare that you'll get introduced to people who can validate the product or a service that you're planning to launch. So your launch itself will be on the wrong footing if you are not a good person, if you're trying to be an entrepreneur. Let's move to the second stage of it, right? Let's say, okay, you got all of this thing right. So you've got a great idea, you got a great business plan, there's little money to start off. The next important thing that you need is to assemble great set of people. Now, unfortunately, good people are hard to come by, right? I mean, why would they join you? Why would they help you? Good people always work in great companies, anyways, and they are paid well, anyways. So how do you build a great team of 5 to 10 initial people now that you're ready to launch your business? Now, people like Herzberg and then Daniel Pink have done great research around this. You can refer to them later. If I were to distill their research and tell you, so there are certain factors like hygiene factors, right? Which are like the salary, the perks, the job security, the kind of office that you're going to sit in, and all of those things, if I put them as hygiene factors, absence of these hygiene factors will lead to their being dissatisfied, right? But presence of these hygiene factors does not guarantee their motivation, though. Let me say that again, right? Absence of hygiene factors like salary, perks, benefits, etc., will lead to dissatisfaction, but presence of those factors does not lead to motivation, because motivating factors are something very different altogether. So the motivating factors are typically the ability for the leader to inspire the team. Inspiration comes from having a much higher purpose of doing what they're doing, giving those people a sense of accomplishment, right? That autonomy, that that inspiration. So those things are the motivating factors, right? So for since most of you are engineering students, and so let me put that in mathematics, right? So let's say -10 is a highly dissatisfied or somebody who doesn't want to join you, and +10 is a motivated employee, right? So a lot of things in terms of the hygiene factors, in terms of what we think are important, like pay, etc., will get somebody from -10 to 0. But to get from 0 to +10, you need goodness. Because you cannot instill that sense of purpose, you cannot instill that inspiration unless you are a good person, and therefore you will not get great people join you in your initial team if your business is not founded on goodness, right? So let's move on now, right? So uh, uh, in terms of decision making, right? Now the in the beginning, at least in your businesses, most of the times, even at an advanced stage of your startup, frankly, there are more unknowns than knowns. You know less than what you should know, and yet you have to make a decision. Now here is the thing. The what I've noticed, I mean, having worked, and I've really worked hard over the years on this aspect of mine, is that there's a very thin line. I call that as Lakshman Rekha of goodness, right? There's a very thin line that separates failure and success, or better decision making and good a bad decision making. Now, what does it mean? Now, when does one become from confident to arrogant? Very thin line separates that, right? You don't know. I mean, so a lot of times I used to, in my early days, used to sit and observe, okay, was I confident? Was I arrogant? Was I assertive? And when do you move from being assertive to aggressive? When do you start responding and actually stop that and then start reacting badly? So there's a very thin line separate. It's very hard to even differentiate between the two, right? But it's a conscious effort based on goodness, based on kindness, based on niceness. You will start realizing that a confident person does not become an arrogant person, right? Now, when it comes to decision making, especially in critical times when you have very little time to do, a good person invariably tend to be confident and not arrogant, and therefore is assertive in his thinking and not aggressive in his thinking, therefore responds well and makes a sound, well judged decision, and not reacting and making a horrible decision. So goodness again. So every day we need to take short-term decisions and long-term decisions if I want to make my startup succeed, and goodness come to your rescue. If it is just inherently present, it makes your day-to-day short-term and long-term decision making so much more better, right? Let me move on to the other factor as to how I am trying to justify what I'm trying to say. The lot of times, especially in my earlier days, if something has gone wrong, right, or if something has gone wrong in the entire thing that we are trying to do, we used to the tendency for me was to look at, okay, who made the mistake, right? That's what we all do. We try to fix somebody to blame, right? But I realized that it's not actually who is wrong. You know what matters? It's what went wrong, not who went wrong. What went wrong, if you try to investigate, will give you an understanding of the situation so much better, so that the same mistake does not happen again. And it requires a good person to get into deciding what went wrong rather than trying to fix a blame on somebody as to who made a mistake. So therefore, every day, every time you, and it's true even when you succeed, actually, right? When something goes really right, what is important is, it's not that who was the hero. What is important is what went right, so that you can replicate that success. Because heroes, it's difficult to replicate. Heroics can be replicated easily. So you have to study the heroism or heroics, not the hero, right? So uh, now, therefore, a good person, somebody who's kind, who's nice, will always look at what went wrong and what went right, instead of looking at who was right and who was wrong. So therefore, in order to succeed again in your business, it has to be based on a sound platform of goodness. So if I were to conclude on this, right? So the we always have a lot of business outcomes, an outcome of lot of things that we do monthly, quarterly, etc. It can be numbers, it can be anything. The outcomes, so the outputs can become outcomes if embellished with niceness. Otherwise what will end up is only an output, which is not enough. So uh, um, the again just to kind of put it into mathematical ways, if you were to maximize and if you consistently try to maximize profits, right, uh, you will eventually end up killing the business itself. It's counterintuitive. Whereas if you try to maximize goodness along with the excellence, right, you will maximize your profits. So don't focus on maximizing profits, focus on maximizing goodness. Profits is a byproduct. So profits, or success is always a byproduct of excellence. Trust me, I'm not talking about telling that, okay, you should be a non-profit, you should be an NGO, you should be a charity or no, I'm talking about business for profit organizations. If you want to make profits, be good. Else, I guess that's the only way to make profits sustainably, continuously over a period of long time. So I hope I was able to talk about the counterintuitive way. It has taken me a lot of years, having made a lot of mistakes to get here. But goodness works. And now let's apply all of this, forget business, to our own personal life. We need sound judgment. We need to attract great people as in terms of relationships and friends, right? We need to have a lot of ideas, a lot of things that we need to discuss, irrespective of business. Therefore, all these things hold true again over there. We need to be making sound decisions. We need to be confident. We need to be, all of those things come true. Even for life, it's the goodness that matters. And it's fundamental. Namaste. Thank you.